What's going on, guys? My name is Sam.
I'm Sadie.
And we are back with some more relationship content.
Yep, you guys have been asking for more relationship content, and so Merry Christmas to you.
We're here to deliver
more content for you. Yeah, one of our videos that we did, I think last summer, it was called Red Flags in Christian Dating.
Mm-hmm.
That ended up getting a ton of feedback from people, views from people, lots of hate comments too. But we figured, let's just do a green flag version of that. And because relationship stuff seems to be what you guys look for. So here we are.
Here we are. And we have written down our qualities that we would consider to be green flags. Did you do
I did
men?
For dudes.
For dudes.
For men.
For dudes or men, whatever. And then I did for chicks or women. You know, whichever one you want.
Do you want to start? We don't know what each other's saying either. So we're just kind of speaking from the heart in this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And we have a lot of points to get to, so I think that we ought to go ahead and jump on in. All right, so the number one, and this is not in any particular order, like as for which is the most important, but the first one that came to my mind was she doesn't care how much money you have as long as you work hard. Now there's a fine line between her being like, well, I just don't care if you're a total bum, and like, hey baby, I would live in a trailer with you, I would live in a car with you. Like that to me is a green flag, because it tells you that she is in it for you and she's in love with you, rather than just being in love with your status or how much money you have.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to supporting, not only are men like typically the ones who financially support, but not all the time can you do that, but I think it's equally as important to be able to support your family emotionally and spiritually too.
Oh, absolutely, and we will get to that in just a little while. You want to do one of yours?
I need to open my phone. Okay, first one. He does not try to cross your God-given boundaries. 1 Corinthians 6:18 says to flee from sexual immorality. I know that we've talked about this in a previous video, but the word flee is never used in regards to any other sin other than sexual immorality. And I looked up what flee was translated into, and the word flee is translated as to run away or escape. It's a trap that you're not meant to fall into. So if that person is trying to push you into falling into that trap, you really, really need to run away. So
I completely agree. Let's go to number 3, and that is she wants you to lead spiritually, going back to the first point, but she takes her own faith walk very seriously. And, that kind of goes back to, she doesn't want to be the head of the household, the leader. The Bible compares, Christ to, the husband is supposed to be the head of the household. I always wanted, Sadie to really take her faith seriously and everything, but then I also wanted for her to, submit to me as the spiritual head of the household. I'm kind of like the tiebreaker. I don't abuse that authority, but it's a great blessing that Sadie understands that, as far as spiritual aspects, that I'm the leader. That's probably going to get a lot of hate.
And we should do a video on that too. I feel like that'd be a really good video topic.
Yeah.
Another one that I wrote down that I struggled with, I will say that, I thought about even doing a video on this, and that is the relationship gives you peace. And I was having a lot of anxiety while me and Sam were dating, engaged, all that sort of thing until we were married. I just struggled with a lot of anxiety, but I did have peace about who Sam was. I had peace that he was a Christian. I'm sorry, our son is screaming. I'm getting sidetracked a little bit because of that. But does the relationship bring you peace because you know that it's a God-fearing and God-honoring relationship? So
yeah, I agree with that. Let's see. Here's another one that I might get some hate for. So she wants to raise a family. Now I know not all of you want to have kids, and if that's not something that God has placed on your heart, don't force it because you think, oh well, I think God would probably want me to have kids. But for me, when I was talking to Sadie and she was very family oriented, wanted to have a big family, wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, that was a huge green flag for me. And then bonus points, for me, I really wanted her to want to homeschool our kids. I believe that this country and this world is so in the toilet that sending your kids off to whether it be a public or private school, even if it's a Christian school, I think there's so much trouble that kids can get into. And I just don't feel like sending your kids off for, 8-9 hours a day, is necessarily the best thing. Now, if you can find good teachers, a good school, you can make it work, but ideally, I wanted for her to want to homeschool our kids.
Yeah, good. Okay, another one. Is his faith serious where he could help you when you fall? Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 says, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help him up. I know there have been numerous times throughout our dating relationship and even in our marriage where I can come to Sam and tell him something I'm struggling with spiritually or just having trouble understanding something, and he absolutely is there to pick me up every single time. I think that that's something very important, is to find someone that can do the same for you, and that's for men and women. That's not necessarily just for the men, but it's as important as wives to pick up your husband too, because he obviously struggles with things too. He struggles with stuff spiritually too. So I think that that's another really important thing, is to find someone who can help you.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I always have trouble ending my sentences.
No, you don't. You do a great job, honey. She's very, very hard on herself, in case you guys have not known that from however many years we've been doing this channel. Okay, here's another one. This is one I know for a fact that Sadie agrees with. And this is, she's modest in what she wears and how she handles herself. So, likewise, this is 1 Timothy 2:9. It says, likewise, I want women to adorn themselves with proper clothing, modestly and discreetly, not with braided hair and gold or pearls or costly garments. So, basically, if you're dating somebody or you see somebody that you're interested in dating and they're constantly taking a bunch of pictures in their swimsuit, or they just kind of behave provocatively, they go to parties, they're just kind of a little bit flirty, I just think that that's a big red flag. And so if you carry yourself, really modestly, you wear, dresses that aren't too provocative, aren't too revealing, or whatever clothing it might be, I think that's a big green flag.
That's good. I could talk a lot more about that. If that's something that you girls would like to see, or if the guys want to know about modesty too, let us know and we can make a video about it. Okay, here is another one. Does he love you how God tells him to love you? Colossians 3:18-19 says, wives, submit to your husbands as is fitting to the Lord. Husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them. I think that last part is not something that's talked about a lot. I think that loving your wives, submitting to your husbands is talked about a lot. But how about the way that husbands speak to their wives? How about the way that we speak to our husbands? I think it's very important to lift them up and not speak terribly to them, not yelling at me, not just demeaning me, and not using the power that you have as the leader who I will submit to spiritually, not using that in a harsh way. I think that is something to look, what did I say? That's something to look for, okay?
Well, and just to add to what you were saying, I think asking yourself, is this guy somebody that I'm going to be happy submitting to spiritually as well? Because a lot of women marry a guy that's total jerk and that's not following the Lord, and then they look at wives, submit to your husbands, they're like, I'm not going to do that. It's like, okay, well, you made the mistake on the front end of marrying somebody that makes you nervous and say, oh heck no, I'm not submitting to that person. So if you do marry somebody that you're willing to do that with, you'll be happy to. You'll be like, oh my goodness, like I'm happy to just totally take all this stuff off my plate and give it to him, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll definitely need to do a video about that, because that is not an easy thing.
Okay, and then finally my last one. I think that was your last one.
Yeah, that was my last one.
Okay, this is my last one. So this one is very, very important. And I know a lot of people that are like this, that you should not touch with a, what is the thing in the Grinch, a 39.5?
Oh yeah, 9.
39.5 foot pole? Yeah. It says, she doesn't have a problem with everything you do. So that's the green flag. So a lot of women, they're very controlling, and they just kind of have a problem with everything you do unless it's kind of done their way. And the scripture that I have to back this up is in Proverbs 21:9, and it says, it's one of my favorite verses because it's just so descriptive. It It says, it is better to live in a corner of the housetop than in a house shared with a quarrelsome wife. So in other words, somebody's just picking fights about everything. Why don't you put the silverware in upside down? I could have pricked my hand. There are so many different things that you can choose to fight about, or you can be thankful for the things that your husband does do right, or your wife does do right. And yeah, it would be better to be on the corner of a roof than to have to deal with that. So if somebody is complaining at you now and kind of a little bit controlling now, just wait till you've gotten married and they don't feel like they can, you know, you can break up with them. So
yeah, those are good. Those are good green flags.
yeah, likewise. Those are all of my green flags.
Yeah, and I'm sure we can make a longer video, but those are my really important ones.
Yep, those are the ones that I can think of off the top of my head too. If you guys are interested in going in depth more on any of those topics, leave a comment down below. Subscribe for more videos of the same ilk, the same nature, and we will see you guys in the next video.
Yep, see you next time.
Bye.